It was nothing I'd ever planned or thought that I would end up doing. I had been a school teacher, I had been a stay-at-home mom, I had done lots of different volunteer work in my life, and we just happened to have horses. It's the changes that you see. I mean, we don't say lightly that we're changing lives with the healing power of horses. It's really happening, and we're seeing it. And just the idea that it's kind of a mystical, magical thing that's happening as a result of relationships with horses, that I think makes it special as well. My name is Nancy Greddy, and I am the co-founder and currently the executive director of Alatheia Riding Center, and our mission is to change lives with the healing power of horses.
This is the NCWLIFE Magazine. I'm Kaitlin Hetterscheidt. On this week's episode, we're learning more about the magic that happens on a daily basis at the Alatheia Riding Center in Wenatchee. It was a long day at the arena coming to a close, and as the sun set behind us, I asked Nancy how the idea for Alatheia came to fruition.
Alatheia is a word that's taken out of scripture, and it means truth, but it's more of an active word, and for us it means truthing goodness in every situation, truthing goodness in every life, and that's what we're trying to do here at Alatheia, is truth goodness. The horses were something that we did with our family. It was recreation that we did with our 3 children, and then my 3 children grew up and left home, and I had all these wonderful horses. And I was really in a dilemma of trying to decide, what do we do now? Do we sell them and end this whole part of our life? Or do we find a purpose and a vision of something that we can do with them? And thankfully, a vision came in the form of a little girl who wanted to spend her 5th birthday on a horse. And she happened to have a disability. And when my husband and I put her on the horse, it was in an instant our lives changed forever, and that purpose became so clear to us, and we knew what we needed to do. And when you get a calling like that, you can't deny it. We went for it.
With a clear vision of how therapeutic riding could make a difference in the lives of people who have disabilities, Nancy got to work learning how to get started.
I didn't even know what it was called, that it was therapeutic riding. So as I did my research, I located places in Washington State that I could go visit. It was research, about a year of research and experience, that led then to our first opening doors in June of 2011.
Alatheia sees about 100 riders a week, but they aren't just children. In fact, the age ranges from 3 to 89 years old. Riders at Alatheia bring a variety of unique circumstances to the arena, from physical, learning, or social disabilities to, most recently, a new program for local veterans with PTSD.
So some of our riders cannot walk on their own, some do not speak, some do not eat on their own, some need assistance with respiration and might even wear oxygen. Our younger riders, participants that come into the program, typically will have a physical disability that might be the result of a genetic disease or disorder. Children that are younger, school age, come in that have autism, so they're coming in larger numbers. When you get into the older or the mid-age young adults, you might have a physical disability, or you might have a developmental disability, or you might have an injury, a traumatic brain injury that has resulted in some kind of a special need. As you get into the older adults, we're finding people with strokes, people with developmental delay as well, multiple sclerosis, muscular dystrophy, and again, some traumatic brain injuries that are resulting later in life. I've had parents tell me with tears in their eyes that their children have never caught a ball. They've never been able to catch a ball. When they're on a horse, something changes. Something is unlocked. They're able to use their hands and their fine motor skills and catch and throw a ball. And they haven't ever seen that before. Those kinds of wins are just incredibly exciting for me.
In our region, there are only so many resources for those with special needs, and often these organizations end up with long waiting lists for those looking for services.
So people with special needs are clearly isolated, especially when they get into their mid-20s after they leave the school system. So they're isolated, there's not a lot of opportunities, and like you say, those services that are available are overwhelmed. And even we have a waiting list now, so I understand what that is like. I had no idea that this would be the result, and what we get to feel and experience every day. I had no idea that that's what we would be getting. Like I've heard other people say that you come thinking that you're going to give back, and that is what we're doing, but we get so much in return. It's incredible.
The demand for alternative therapies is great and continues to grow in North Central Washington. At Alatheia, riders experience activity on and off the horse to help develop core strength, balance, coordination, social skills, and cognitive abilities. A sense of confidence is born from the time spent at Alatheia for these riders, but a running theme for those who work and volunteer here is that they receive something in return. At times, it's hard to explain, but volunteer Nancy Heston says it's a magical experience to lead walk a horse during a session in the arena.
I noticed a change in me since I've been giving back and volunteering here. So at work, we're encouraged to volunteer. It's a big part of what we do. And I've been looking for that place. What's it going to be for me? I mean, I've done fun runs and walks and, volunteer here and there. But this is like, this is it. And I think it helps me as much as, well, maybe not as much, but I think it helps me so much too, just because it feels good to give back and be a part of it, because it is such a big, magical kind of thing. Like I want to make a bigger impact, you know what I mean? It's like I just want to be a part of it.
We've just barely scratched the surface of behind the scenes at Alatheia Riding Center in Wenatchee. Coming up next, more from both Nancys, Executive Director Nancy and Volunteer Nancy, as well as the day-to-day operations, a lesson with a rider, and we'll talk with an instructor at Alatheia. All of this coming up next. Welcome back to the NCWLIFE Magazine. We're at the Alatheia Riding Center, nestled in the hills of Sleepy Hollow Road just off Highway 2 in Wenatchee. We've talked a little bit about how this nonprofit got its start, but what is the day-to-day like? With nearly 100 volunteers to serve its growing number of riders, the day starts early for the horses.
It gets rolling early, so the first thing we've got to do is get our horses fed, right, and watered, and then the barn has to be cleaned. And so people start arriving here in the summertime. People start arriving a little before 8 o'clock, and their job then is to gather horses and begin preparing them for their work for the day. So they do something called grooming, which is brushing and cleaning and making them comfortable, and we take care of their hooves before they start to work. And then there is a schedule that is posted that each individual that comes, their name is on it, and they know what their job is and what they need to do, and then they'll start working towards the end game of that schedule, which is putting riders on the horse. So that starts at 8 o'clock. We call it the beehive because there's a lot of bodies working, a lot of horses that are passing each other, and we get those horses ready. We come into the arena and a lesson begins, and then we do that 8:30 till 2:30, and then again from 5:30 to 6:30. So it's many hours, probably 6 or 7 hours that we continue that routine. Horses love to have a job. They love to have a purpose and to make a difference. And these particular horses are Norwegian Fjord horses. They're known for their calm temperaments. They're easygoing, they're sure-footed. I think nothing phases them. They have balls thrown in their face, or pom-poms flying, or squirt guns going, and they're not phased. So they're very special that way. They have big movement, and we love the way that the input that they give to a rider when they're on their backs. It's large input, and it really creates a lot of movement in the body, and that's how riders get stronger. We see at some point, every one of these horses, you could almost physically see them take a deep breath, and they go, oh, this is my purpose. This is why I'm here. And then you see them start to just develop into this amazing therapy animal. It's beautiful.
Alatheia is a PATH affiliate, also known as the Professional Association of Therapeutic Horsemanship, an international certification. On staff is instructor Heidi Nobles, who is also the PATH Eastern Washington chair. Heidi has been riding horses her whole life and realized the therapeutic powers as a kid when she began teaching her younger brother how to ride. She says her brother was born at just 24 weeks old and suffered from developmental delays during his early childhood.
It was interesting. I took him out to the barn a few times and he would ride my horse, and he was just so happy. And I saw that and I was like, that is so cool that my horse, that we're doing this together, and seeing my brother changed by it. Anyways, he didn't do it very long, but it was just enough to kind of plant the seed.
She said a woman she nannied for sparked her interest in getting certified, and the help just kept coming to lead her to where she is today at Alatheia.
It was the horses that was kind of the draw, and then it was people being generous. And really the generosity is where it came from.
For the filming of this episode, I came to a lesson with Heidi and two of her riders, Kimberly and Maria. Depending on the rider, goals during the lesson can vary as they work to accomplish tasks like speaking louder or balancing core strength. Using different equipment to get riders with a wide range of physical abilities on a horse, like the lift used on Kimberly and Maria to get them from their chairs to the saddle, Nancy says riders come to learn how much they can really do at Alatheia.
They arrive absolutely giddy and excited about what they're going to experience because they know they've been here before. They're excited to see each other. One of my great joys is bringing people together and watching friendships develop among the riders in our programs. And so I look very carefully at personalities and how they might bring really great things out of each other. And I see that in Maria and Kimberly as well, how they can encourage and motivate one another. That's been really wonderful. I know that the instructor Heidi has put together a wonderful lesson plan for them, and I know that they're going to be challenged. I know that they're going to have successes. I know that they are going to be interacting with the team that's working with them, and that brings me a lot of joy as well.
With Kimberly today, she actually trotted for the first time without holding the saddle horn, which is huge. She held the reins. And that's something that maybe somebody that doesn't know horses wouldn't recognize, but as an instructor, it's my job to realize that that was a huge goal met for her. She really actualized some independence, and she gained confidence there, and she had fun doing it, and she didn't know she was doing it. Like, she didn't know it was a therapy, which is the best part of it. So seeing her do that was amazing. So we take that and basically we write reports every week on their goals, what they learned or what they achieved that week, and we work towards meeting those actual life goals, and those are usually the bigger ones. She laughed so much today, and she always does, really. When I, as an instructor, have a rider who's just loving life that day and enjoying the lesson, I'm loving life and enjoying the lesson. If she has a hard day, it's hard for me. So just the bond that I feel for these riders, it's not, I have kids, and my kids are like my life. And I feel so deeply about these kids' success, these riders' success, their happiness and their goals being met. And seeing Kimberly specifically, she just pushes really hard to meet those goals, and we don't necessarily vocalize the goals, so we kind of have them set up. We know we want her to sit up tall, we want her to work towards riding the horse independently with less sidewalker support and no lead walker support, which she's been doing lately. She doesn't know that's the goal, but it's happening, and so she's actually meeting those goals. It's really cool to see her happy about it too. So yeah, I love watching her laugh. It's contagious. working with the parents is really, really crucial because you want to see their idea of their son or daughter's goals met, and you want to come alongside of them and help them and watch that, because I'm, as a parent, I look at my kids and I want success for them, and it doesn't matter where they're at in life, I just want to see them succeed. And that's what you see. These parents are passionate, so sometimes it's passionate good and sometimes it's passionate hard, like they're disappointed or they're sad because it didn't quite go the way that they wanted. And so working with them, coming up with goals that are reasonable but meetable, and also challenging, because you want to challenge the riders. It's good. We have to work with the parents. It's what we need to do to be successful. Parents know their kids best, so that's really the root of it.
While working hard to help riders find success and support, the organization is also providing an opportunity for their parents or loved ones to rest and enjoy the process.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things that we have in mind for parents. We want to give them respite. We want them to be able to sit in a comfortable spot and just breathe for 45 minutes and not have to worry about taking care of their child, or as a caregiver, whoever they're taking care of. We want them to be able to relax and just sit back and enjoy and watch the person that they're with succeed. There are parents who sit in this chair and fall asleep, and it's their moment to catch up on a little bit of rest, and that is wonderful. I love that. And when I have an instructor like Heidi that's out there and I know that I can trust her and that she's got this amazing lesson going on, I can sit to talk to parents and I ask them, what are you seeing at home? And I have parents that tell me that they have children that have difficulty walking, and that when they're not riding horses, they need more support. They have to hold their hand and walk with them. And then all of a sudden, after they've been riding horses for a few weeks, there's these children or participants are able to walk with more security. They're able to carry themselves better. They're stronger. They're more independent. And that brings me great joy. I've had parents tell me with tears in their eyes that their children have never caught a ball. They've never been able to catch a ball. When they're on a horse, something changes. Something is unlocked. They're able to use their hands and their fine motor skills and catch and throw a ball. And they haven't ever seen that before. Those kinds of wins are just incredibly exciting for me.
A major part of why Alatheia has found such success in its first decade of operations is because of the massive volunteer base showing up every day for the riders. Coming up next, we'll talk more with our volunteer Nancy and the process of working with the crew at Alatheia. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the NCWLIFE Magazine. Before I began filming this episode, I watched a few lessons at Alatheia to get a better idea of the work this nonprofit is doing on a daily basis. The first lesson I stumbled into, I found the instructor and staff in tears because a rider with autism who had been coming to lessons for some time now had climbed onto the saddle by herself for the very first time without hesitation. The more I spoke with volunteers and staff at Alatheia, the more I learned how emotional this job can be. Volunteer Nancy Heston says she was just as emotional the first time she visited Alatheia.
Well, I found out about Alatheia from where I work at New America Credit Union, and I went to a couple events, and I got to come to a patio party 2 years ago, and we got to watch a lesson, and I bawled my way through that whole lesson. Just watching it, I grew up with horses, and just like, I don't know, just watching what they were doing here, it just, I don't know, it just really hit me in the heart. And I just decided after going to another event that I just needed to be here. So I talked to my daughter and I said, hey, let's do this together. And so yeah, we started volunteering this year, and it's like my 1 day a week that I can come and just put everything else away and just kind of be here with the horses and the riders and the instructors, and I don't have to think about anything else, and I just love it.
You feed on the energy and the emotion that's going on there, and there's so much joy that happens with the people that are able to be with the horses and with the interactions with peers and with other people on their team.
when volunteers sign up, they usually have no idea what they're in for. Most of them don't have horse knowledge or experience, and so that's really key, because people think I can't volunteer there because I don't have horse experience, but that's not the case. We walk each person through a 2-hour training course before they're ever allowed to step into the arena with a horse and rider that is in an actual lesson. We offer shadow opportunities, extracurricular learning, and just try to really aid our volunteers with every possible advantage that they can have. As an instructor, I never worry about my volunteers supporting my riders. I know that they're capable. There are volunteers who have come to me and said, I don't know if I can do this, I'm not sure, and we walk them through it, and every time they come out and they're like, I'm so glad I did that. That was so fun, and can I sign up? Like today I had somebody step into the last 10 minutes of a lesson, and they were thrown into it because I asked for the extra help, and she was like, I don't know what I'm doing, and I said, I want you to go be a cheerleader for the rider. And she said, okay, and she jumped in and she was cheering the rider on, and by the end of the lesson she said, I want that spot every week in the fall session, please sign me up. So I just think as an instructor, I have full faith in my volunteers, because I know we've equipped them, because I know that they want to be here. They're not forced to be here. It's not something that they have to do. They're signing up to do it because they love it.
Bringing individuals with special needs to a facility with the kind and caring horses and staff at Alatheia is putting the nonprofit on the fast track to expansion. Nancy says while they never turn a rider away for an inability to pay, they have had to put riders on wait lists. But in a few years, she hopes that can change.
The future is so exciting. So we currently are limited by the facility that we're in. As much as we all love it and as beautiful as it is, it limits our ability to serve the amount of people who need therapeutic riding. So we're serving 100, we have a waiting list of about 40, and we're getting calls daily, weekly, for people who want this service, and we have to say no, and it's heartbreaking. So the exciting plan that we have is that we have recently acquired 12 acres of property on Easy Street that will become the new home of Alatheia Riding Center. And we're planning a facility expansion and relocation project that will allow us to double the capacity. So we'll be able to serve close to 200 people a week. We'll also be able to expand the veterans program that I mentioned briefly. There's just so many more things that we can do. We'll have a safer facility, better parking, better access. It's very exciting, and we're going to be talking more about that. We think it's going to be about a 3-year program plan to get there.
For more information on Alatheia and how you can get involved with this organization, visit AlatheiaRidingCenter.com or give them a call directly. That's going to do it for this week's episode. I'm producer Kaitlin Hetterscheidt. To view this episode or other NCWLIFE Magazine episodes on demand, head over to our website at NCWLIFE.com and navigate to the Watch Now tab. Thanks for watching.